Introduction to Infinite Civilization Simulator. Xinghan has bound a game called Civilization Simulator, which allows players to travel to any historical node with their minds. So he began to engage in compulsory education during the Warring States period, studied flint guns during the Qin Dynasty, designed private planes for Liu Xiu, and went completely crazy, never turning back on the path of distorting the technology tree. The former lord is young and lonely, with his mother. Chapter 1. I am a Descendant faction. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In 455 BC, you were born. Your family comes from a poor background and has been farming for generations. The 7 major feudal states attacked each other, and the people were overwhelmed. You rely on the food saved from your parents' mouths to survive with difficulty. On your 5th birthday, you accidentally fell into a well after you drowned. Rainstorm fell from the sky. Nobody expected that the rainstorm lasted for 10 years. 1 year later, animals and plants began to die on a large scale due to lack of sunlight exposure. 10 years later, due to the impact of major floods, global temperatures dropped by 27 degrees, and survivors migrated to permafrost plateaus, becoming the last spark of civilization. 15 years later, the last survivor experienced cardiac arrest due to hypothermia. Civilization 001 has been annihilated. Civilization progress. The Age of Cold Weapons, duration 30/5000. Settlement reward. None. Comment. Nothing at all. A simple rental house in Qingzhong village, Jianghai city. Xinghan woke up from his dream, his consciousness remaining on the settlement screen in front of him. He reached out and grabbed it, but couldn't find anything. Illusions. Not awake. Trisomy invasion. Countdown. I am a safe descendant, eliminating human tyranny. The world belongs to. The civilization simulator has been restarted. Do you want to start a new era? Friendly reminder. To ensure the gaming experience of players, please make sure to follow the following 3 rules. The first requirement of civilization is survival. The first need of civilization is survival, Article 3. Remember the first 2 points. A new scene appeared, and Xinghan finally realized that this thing that had been growing in his mind was called the civilization simulator. The goal of the game is also very simple, to simulate from birth and lead the development of Earth civilization forward. It takes 5,000 years to achieve the first stage. Wait, 5,000 years. Am I a bastard? Anyway, give it another try. To put it simply, isn't this the kind of online game that simulates cultivating immortals and emperor cultivation plans? Civilization 002 has been launched, randomizing your background. Randomizing time points. Loading map. In 247 BC, you were born into the family of a nobleman in the state of Yan. You have activated the white entry. Swimming master. You can swim from birth, and the probability of drowning is very low. You have activated the inherent entry. Nature is eternal. You will not age, but you cannot resist diseases and any unnatural death. It seems that this initial entry is related to the cause of death in the previous game. The principle of natural immortality goes without saying, perfectly solving the problem of insufficient lifespan. And the background of this game is very impressive, no longer a poor person, but the son of a noble. You live a life of luxury and luxury. 8 years have passed in a blink of an eye. Your father hopes you will inherit the family business, but you have not enjoyed reading since childhood. At the age of 8, while you were playing in the wilderness, a masked man stopped you and claimed to be the world's #1 swordsman. The man intended to take you as his disciple. 1. Agree to apprentice. 2. Where did the scammer come from? Stay where it's cool. Xinghan thought for a moment and chose to apprentice. After all, studying is not good, and if his strength is not fully utilized, it will be a life of early death and early survival. You practice swordsmanship secretly every day, making rapid progress and quickly standing out among your clan. You really want to know who your master is, but he wears a mask all day and refuses to show his true face to others. Day by day, your life is devoid of any fun except for practicing swordsmanship, so you hesitate a bit. 1. Continue to explore and pursue the ultimate swordsmanship. 2. Stop practicing and spend your later years peacefully. How old am I to spend my old age peacefully? Du Xinghan chose to continue. 3 years and 3 years, a full 6 years have passed, and this year you are 20 years old. Your swordsmanship has been refined to perfection, and even your master is no longer your opponent. Those swordsmen who dare to challenge you will all die under your sword. On this day, you arrived at the agreed location as usual, but your master was not there. There are traces of fighting on the ground. You searched along the footprints and finally found the seriously injured master in a dense forest. Your master told you that the assassin who attacked him was an assassin from the Qin state. The assassin has already rushed to your home, and your parents and clan are in danger. 1. Quickly leave and save the tribe from fire and water. 2. Rescue the master and let him survive. 3. Do nothing. Nima. Playing a terrible game also has a knife. How should I choose? Du Xinghan hesitated. Although it was said in ancient times that the Lord of Heaven and Earth was his personal teacher, and his teacher ranked last, it was too unfair to just ignore him, right? At this moment when he was in a difficult situation, the progress bar had already been completed, and the system randomly selected the third option. You have activated the golden entry. Tianxia Lonely Star, all your loved ones have died, and you are enduring great pain. This pain has led you into the path of sword and magic, and you cannot extricate yourself for life. Passive. Your swordsmanship proficiency increases by 100%, with a permanent increase of 10% for every person killed. Alright, Yu reading www.uukangshu.net is the best choice for family members to offer sacrifices to the heavens with boundless power. Your master died in front of you, so you decided. 1. Take off the mask and take a look at your true face. Dust returns to dust, soil returns to soil. It's better to bury it first, as human death is greater. Hey, bury it. Du Xinghan finally realized that every decision in the game was closely related to the subsequent plot. If he had chosen not to pursue his master from the beginning, or had chosen to live his later years peacefully, neither his parents nor his master would have died as a result. But life is like this, no one can predict the future, so there are always people who regret the beginning. You buried your master with your own hands, and after the assassin killed all your tribe members, they did not find you in the body. They returned on the same path, getting closer and closer to you. 1. A desperate battle. Note. This option will trigger a battle. 2. Hold your breath and walk with 30.6 strategies. Fuck your sister. Mang is done. In reality, is it just a matter of being submissive, but in games, is it also a matter of swallowing one's anger? You fight with the assassin and soon someone will be killed by you. Tianxia Lonely Star passive trigger. Sword proficiency permanently increases by 10%. Du Xinghan's eyes lit up, truly worthy of being a golden entry. Unfortunately, the activation conditions were too strict. More and more assassins are dying under your sword, but your physical energy consumption is also severely exceeding the limit. Sword proficiency permanently increases by 10%. Sword proficiency permanently increases by 10%. You were seriously injured, but you gritted your teeth and persisted until the enemy was killed to the last person. 1. Take their lives and avenge their loved ones. 2. Leave a living mouth and interrogate the mastermind behind the scenes. Chapter 2, Let Me Go Europe Once. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Du Xinghan's eyes turned red, but he still had a hint of rationality. Who sent you? You looked at the assassin. If you don't say it, you'll die. The assassin sneered at you twice, and a sword pierced through his chest. When you return home, your family's century-old foundation is burned to the ground. You search for your parents' bodies in the sea of fire, but finally feel exhausted and faint when you wake up, lying on a large bed. The surroundings are very unfamiliar. Xinghan finally realized that not long after the game started, the scene he saw in front of him was no longer a screen, but a holographic game scene with a high fidelity of 99.99%. The maid noticed that you were awake and immediately called the owner of this house, the person claiming to be the Crown Prince of Yen. Your life was saved by someone he sent. My name is Jiden, he enthusiastically introduced himself. Can you eat it? You thought you were joking humorously, but the other person wasn't angry and treated you as a guest of honor, raising you in the mansion from now on. You eat, drink, have fun, gamble, and have sex with prostitutes, putting all your troubles behind you. Finally, one day, Prince Dan found you and made a request to you. You are well aware of the truth that there is no free lunch in the world and know that it is time to repay your kindness. Tell me, who do you want me to kill? You asked. Qin Wang Yingzheng. Crown Prince Dan casually said. The name Du Xinghan is being deceived. Isn't it Jing Ku who assassinated Yingzheng? Did I change the course of history? Can this game still be played like this? Do you recognize Jing Ku? You asked. I know. Crown Prince Dan sighed. Unfortunately, he was killed many years ago. Who killed it? By you, Du Xinghan. By me. He once challenged you. He died under your sword, one of the unnamed swordsmen. How do you know my name is Du Xinghan? I also know your master, named Gai Nye, who is the world's top swordsman. Gai Nye. It seems to be a character from a certain anime. But this is not surprising. After all, it is a domestic game, and it is normal to learn from other works. What really puzzled him was his real name. Why would an NPC know? What else does he know? He doesn't even know where I live, does he? Hush. Du Xinghan flashed back to reality from the game. At the moment he opened his eyes, there was a sudden knocking sound outside the door. Meituan takeout, it's left at the door. Delivery. I didn't order takeout. Did someone else help me order it? Who would be so kind, surrounded by a group of poor guys? Going to an internet cafe for a night, eating a bowl of instant noodles with or without intestines, you have to think about that. Du Xinghan pushed open the door, and the delivery guy had already left. There was a cardboard box the size of a shoe box on the ground. There was no word written on the cardboard box, and Du Xinghan did not open it immediately for safety reasons. After repeatedly confirming that it was not a time bomb, he took out the art knife he bought from the 2-yuan store and scraped open the transparent tape on the box. Okay, it seems I've been overthinking. It's really just a takeout inside, fragrant Longjiang pig's foot rice, and it's still steaming hot. Du Xinghan is indeed starving. He didn't have breakfast or lunch, not to lose weight, but to save money. Now the job market is sluggish, he has been unemployed for a long time, and then his mind became hot. He borrowed tens of thousands of yuan online and partnered with his friends to open a small supermarket. Half a year later, he happily went bankrupt, and after clearing the warehouse, there was only about 1,000 yuan left on his account. He divided over 500 yuan, only enough to pay next month's rent. When he finished eating the takeout and threw away the packaging box, Du Xinghan finally saw the small ticket stuck on top. The information on the receipt, from top to bottom, is as follows. Number 40. Meituan takeout, Xiaomei pig feet rice, Temple Street store, order date. ABY35FT, Galaxy calendar, immediate delivery, order number. XXXXXXXXL, note. Wang AA, on behalf of the Executive Committee of the Community of Shared Destiny on Galactic Planets, wishes you a pleasant meal. The information below, like a regular takeout receipt, includes a list of dishes, total price, and QR code. Wang AA. This name is quite unique, it must be lowly. Also, what the hell is this order number? The clothes for Ultraman. Du Xinghan didn't know who was causing this prank, nor did he want to delve deeper. With a sudden change in his mind, he returned to the gaming world. How did you think about it? Prince Dan asked. 1. Accept assassination missions. I can't do such a dangerous thing. After thinking for a moment, Xinghan decided to take on the job. He didn't have a good impression of Xinghan. This guy is too skilled, so I'll show him off. The wind is howling and the water is cold, and the brave soldiers leave without returning. By the Yishui River, the sorrowful BGM sounded, and your tiger body shook, bidding farewell to friends who came to bid farewell one after another. Note: you have entered a critical historical node, and your next choice is crucial. Please choose carefully. There is a brave warrior named Qin Wuyang who has decided to join you in the Qin expedition. Do you agree? I agree with you, a lollipop. Get rough on me. Without hesitation, Xinghan chose not to. In history, when Jing Ke's assassination of Qin failed, Qin Wuyang had to bear at least half of the blame. When this goods entered the main hall of the state of Qin, they were so frightened that they looked like Parkinsons, almost writing the words, "I am an assassin," on their faces. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net. You rejected Qin Wuyang and came to the state of Qin alone. Everything is ready. You just arrived in Xianyang when you were stopped by the soldiers guarding the city gate, who wanted to search your body. 1. Let him search. Bribery him, free. Strive hard. Forget it, guys are all people who want to slaughter dragons. Why bother with a soldier? You took out a few copper coins, and the other party accepted them. You successfully entered Xianyang. The next day, you arrived at Xianyang Palace as scheduled. Note: your choice will affect the alert value. When the alert value is lower than the green range, the success rate of assassination will increase significantly. When the alert value rises to the red range, the chance of being discovered will increase significantly. Xinghan noticed that there was a three-color bar on Xinghan's head, which was green, yellow, and red from left to right, with the pointer pointing at the junction of yellow and red. Who is the person who is here and what is being asked for? The person who asked was Liu Xiu, the left prime minister. I am a commoner of the state of Yan. I am a nobleman from the state of Yan. I am the general of Yan state. Oh no, how do we choose this? Xinghan's understanding of history is limited to middle school textbooks and TV dramas. People. This should be ruled out. In ancient times, classes were clearly defined, and it was impossible for ordinary people to come into contact with upper-class figures. It was a bit strange to choose. So we can only get confused from the remaining two options. What is the difference between nobles and generals? Not all are big shots. As the progress bar was running out, Xinghan gritted his teeth and instinctively chose the general. Warning. Warning. The target character's alert value is too high. Warning. Warning. Your sisters. When can I go to Europe once? Chapter 3. Unclear fault types. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After learning about your identity, Xinghan became a bit cautious and asked why you came to Qin state. Understood, the correct answer is nobility. In people's subconscious, nobility are people who are knowledgeable and rational, without any deterrent power. You were a bit at a loss and forgot the words that Crown Prince Dan had given you before leaving. 1. May the whole country be ministers. 2. May we send troops to assist Qin in attacking Qi. I forgot. Damn it, you think I'm intellectually disabled. Only fools choose 3. Xinghan learned from the previous lesson and calmly analyzed it. After all, if he chooses the wrong one again this time, the game will be game over. Can we still get here in the next round? If I give you another premature death, today's restart count will be gone. Choose one. I can't understand classical Chinese. What does Nikan mean? Eunuchs. The whole country is a vassal. Sleeping trough. Ancient people really had to deal with themselves in order to survive. Choose 2. Sending troops to assist Qin is understandable. Yan is in Bijie, Qi is in Shandong, which is reasonable. But it's not reasonable. Zulong is almost unifying the 6 countries now. In the words of the game, it's just that the silk blood has been hung and ignited. At this point, you can say, you're 50. It's my turn to play. Is it decent? Is it decent? Du Xinghan used the exclusion method to eliminate 2 options. Nice. The warning strip, as he wished, retreated back to its original position. Xinghan relaxed his guard and then asked, "Why do you believe in mud?" You look at the 2 boxes in your arms. 1. Present the map of Yen State's Governor Kong. 2. Presenting the head of Fan Yuqi, a traitor of the Qin state. I know this question. Without hesitation, Du Xinghan chose option 2. It's definitely right to act like this in TV dramas. You presented Fan Yuqi's head, and Xinghan's alert value for you was significantly reduced. This time, the pointer moves backwards from the position of the yellow-red range to the green edge. Is it like putting makeup in a box or a box of mud searching mulberry? You presented the map of Yen Kingdom's Governor Kong, and Xinghan's alert value for you was reduced to 0. Tai Haoli. Tai Haoli. It's like a mulberry licking and beating a few ants to conquer the world. Dukong is the most fertile land in Yen and even the entire northern region, mainly producing horses, salt, and iron tools. For the era of cold weapons, these are all important strategic resources. Your heartbeat is getting faster and faster, as if life and death are only in a moment. The king of Qin sent a picture, but the picture was poor and a dagger appeared. 1. Grab a dagger and assassinate Xinghan. 2. Kneel down immediately and falsely claim to offer a knife. Du Xinghan made a choice without hesitation. I am at odds with that bandit Chow. You hold the sleeve of the king of Qin with your left hand, and a dagger with your right hand. In Chinese. Grab the sleeve with your left hand, and carry the knife with your right hand. Before he could reach his body, the king of Qin was startled and jumped up. His sleeves cut off. The king of Qin drew his sword. The sword was long, and he controlled his room when in a state of anxiety. The sword is strong, so it cannot be pulled straight. You drove the king of Qin inside the palace, and the king of Qin walked around the pillars. According to the Qin law, ministers are not allowed to bring sharp weapons, even pencil sharpeners, to the palace. Soldiers can only guard outside the palace, and entering the palace without an edict is a capital offense. A medical officer named Xia Wuji came to his senses in a hurry and smashed a medicine bag at you. 1. Ignoring attacks. 2. Swipe your arm to block it. 3. Squat down to dodge. Du Xinghan didn't even think about it and ignored the attack. Assassin's Creed. Dogs don't even play. Lao Quanzhan will never be a slave. You were hit on the head by a medication bag and stood still for 2 seconds. Taking this opportunity, the left and right said, the king bears the sword. Brush. Xinghan drew his long sword and stabbed it towards your thigh. 1. Dodge. 2. Block with a dagger. 3. Ignoring attacks. Du Xinghan stopped to analyze. Ignoring the attack was a bit too exaggerated. Lu Sun said it well. No matter how high his martial arts were, he was afraid of a kitchen knife. Dodge. It's a bit unlikely that Xinghan couldn't pull out his sword because it was too long. You blocked this attack with exquisite swordsmanship, but Xinghan missed you. Knowing that you were not an opponent, he turned around and ran outside the palace, seeing that the assassination attempt was about to fail, so you decided. Throw a dagger. 2. Catch up. This is the last decision, isn't it? Du Xinghan was once again lost in thought. Just as he was about to make a choice, his brain suddenly hummed and stopped running as if it had crashed. Did the game crash? Are you playing with me on the inch finger? Sasa. He tried to start it, only to find that it was in vain, and the civilization simulator was like deleted data that could never be found again. Perhaps it's just a dream. Du Xinghan took out his phone and searched online, hoping to find a similar game to play. Finally, he found a pingti called Xiuxian Simulator on 43.99. But he abandoned it after just 5 minutes of playing. The dry text, the awkward drawing, and the immersive experience were completely different. Good luck today, Old Wolf invited me to eat chicken. I won't answer your phone calls. What's the use of calling it, hello, Brother Xing, hurry up. Surfing and internet cafes are free to stay overnight, with one missing for 5. A lewd voice came from the phone, it was Du Xinghan's hairpin Matao. Internet cafes sit 5 times in a row, the more you fight, the more silent you become. Don't go. What are you talking about? Brother Xing, I'm also thief, Yu reading www.uukangshu.net. Hurry up and leave your mark, take you flying. If you don't go, that Aso pig shakes its head. Don't get involved, rescuing the scene is like putting out a fire. Let's do it this way, overnight snack tube instant noodles. After thinking for a moment, Du Xinghan said, add a bottle of mineral water and a grilled sausage. After hesitating for a moment, Xiaozi gritted his teeth and said, deal. Du Xinghan dressed and went downstairs, sweeping a shared bike and stomping vigorously. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose the game, dinner can be considered a success. The surfing internet cafe is not close to him. It takes 5 blocks, 4 traffic lights and a small alley to get there. As he turned into the alley, halfway through his ride, the street lamp, which had originally been of little use, suddenly emitted a string of sparks and went out with a snap. At the same time, an extremely small anesthesia needle shot from a distance. A crackling sound came from the darkness, and Du Xinghan slammed his head into the trash can, causing beverage bottles to roll all over the ground. At the entrance of the alley, 2 black shadows appeared from a Mercedes-Benz commercial vehicle and quickly ran towards Du Xinghan. They both wore shark headgear, which was exactly like the real thing. The 2 of them exchanged a glance, and one of the shark heads held a uniquely shaped scanner and pressed it against Du Xinghan's forehead. Drop. 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 Drop drop. 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 The red light on the scanner is on, as if encountering some obstacles. The reporting committee has controlled experiment A951 and is unable to quickly repair it. The type of malfunction cannot be identified yet. Should we proceed with recycling? Recycling. On the other end of the earphone, a young woman's voice rang out. Pop. The streetlights lit up again, and everything returned to calm. Chapter 4. Give a lesson to the boss. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wake up, young man, wake up, don't sleep here. Wong wong wong. Wong wong wong. Du Xinghan woke up from his dream with a husky staring straight at him. Young man, have you woken up and drunk? The owner of the dog is a kind-hearted gentleman, and nowadays it's rare to see someone fall to the ground and dare to move forward. I'm fine, sir. You're busy with your work. Is it really okay? It's okay, thank you. After seeing off the dog walker, Du Xinghan stood up. The environment hasn't changed, it's still this dark alley. Glancing at the watch, the pointer pointed to 9.30. I've been lying here for 2 hours, sleeping trough. He remembers very clearly that he left the door at 7.15 and rode his bike for another 10 minutes on the way. I remember. I was riding my bike, thinking about things, and then my head got stuck on the trash can. Fortunately, he wasn't injured. Du Xinghan touched his forehead, intact, and shook his head vigorously without any discomfort. As for going to the hospital for examination, it's okay. Stepping out of the alley, the street was filled with snack stalls, and the air was filled with the smell of barbecue fumes. Du Xinghan looked at the squid string on the iron plate and thought about the balance of Alipay. He walked quickly and entered the surfing cafe. But he searched for a long time but couldn't find where Xiaozi was, so he had to give the other party a WeChat voice message. Hello Xinggu. Hello Fart, where are you? I'm drinking outside, why don't I have something to do with you? Du Xinghan asked with a question mark on his face, aren't you making a phone call and saying you're on a surfing package? I'm here, where are you? The tone on the other end of the phone became even more puzzled. When did I call you? Did you remember wrong? Damn it. Du Xinghan hung up the phone. This kid used to play pranks when he was in school, and he got beaten up a lot for it. He swore that the next time he saw Xiao Taozi, he would definitely help him recall his childhood well. Hello handsome guy, are you here to surf the internet? I'm here to find someone, beautiful woman. The person he is talking to is the female internet administrator of a surfing internet cafe, who is broadcasting live with a selfie stick. These days, there are all kinds of broadcasts, and internet cafes have to follow suit in order to attract popularity. May I ask if you are a member of this online cafe? Yes. This is such a handsome guy. In order to give back to our loyal customers, our online cafe has launched a lucky draw event. Are you interested in participating? I'm not interested. Du Xinghan knew immediately that it was a trick to trick you into charging internet fees, and then thank you for your patronage. Oh, what a pity. After being rejected, the female internet administrator said to the camera, family and babies, it seems that today's 5,000 yuan grand prize will be in vain again. 5,000. Du Xinghan was tempted, he is urgently short of money now. How much can I recharge for a lottery? Members who have been registered for more than 1 year can recharge 200 yuan. Members who have been registered for more than 2 years can recharge 100 yuan. Members who have been registered for more than 3 years have no threshold. Du Xinghan laughed as soon as he heard this. He spent almost half of his 4 years in college here. Handsome guy, let me explain the rules. There are 3 dice on the big screen, and the points add up. As long as they exceed 10, there will be a prize. The larger the value, the richer the corresponding prize. Du Xinghan watched the screen used by internet cafes for live streaming competitions, with prizes ascending from lighters to mice, keyboards, handheld devices, graphics cards, and more. Sure enough, there were no accidents. The special prize is a cash reward of 5,000 yuan, which requires throwing 3 sixes. The female internet administrator aimed the selfie stick at the large screen. Accompanied by the gambling god's BGM, the dice began to shake wildly. Stop. Du Xinghan did not hold any hope, as he was not possessed by the chieftain from childhood to adulthood. He could just become a successful player in Xinyu. Ah! The screams of the female internet administrator echoed through the entire internet cafe, and most of the people who were focused on playing games were attracted and raised their heads. In the live broadcast room, barrage comments such as 666, koi, and suction flooded the screen. Ah! Although Du Xinghan didn't scream, his heart also thumped. Because what is displayed on the big screen is exactly 3 sexes. Who knows, my family. I'm the busiest in the circus, the craziest in Gotham City, I stand guard in front of McDonald's, big and small kings in playing cards. Oh Shen is right beside me, and the clown is actually me. Koi. You must have saved the Milky Way in your previous life, right? The female internet administrator was so excited that she grabbed Du Xinghan and asked him to greet the water friends in the live broadcast room. A few gold diggers in the internet cafe rushed over after seeing this scene. Brother, help me draw a dragon blind. Old Ma is so shameless. He charged 3,000 yuan and didn't even see any shrimp feathers. Big brother, do you want to play Hearthstone? I've been smoking all night and haven't even revealed the legend of Zhang. Come on, little brother, help me open a box, my brother's dragon sniper is up to you. The female internet administrator saw the effectiveness of the program and encouraged Du Xinghan to help them. Du Xinghan originally didn't want to cause much trouble, but he couldn't resist the atmosphere that had paved the way for him. As a result, he didn't make a sound with a single draw. I filled in my identity information at the front desk and immediately received 5,000 yuan in cash. Boss, 10 skewers, oh no, 20 lamb skewers, 5 iron plate squid, 4 bottles of beer, and 1 pancake. Okay. Sitting at the night market stall, Du Xinghan was called a beauty. Now that he has the rent, he also has the money for meals. With the remaining money, he plans to buy an electric scooter and go out for takeout. Although it's a bit tough, it's better than lying at home. But what he didn't expect was that someone in UU reading www.uukangshu.net fell for it. What did you do? A middle-aged man with a bald head was venting his anger in the surfing cafe restroom. Didn't you say that he couldn't shake a number above 16? You're still learning programming, damn it. Boss. Don't explain, starting from tomorrow, you don't have to come to work. The little network administrator who was scolded by him was crying uncontrollably. He tested the lottery software many times and set the program to be between 3 and 16. That is to say, the first and second prizes are just decorations, even if Shou Fafa is called in, it is impossible to win. Du Xinghan had enough to eat and drink, took a taxi home, and just as he was about to close his eyes while lying in bed, he remembered about the game. Sleeping trough, surprisingly connected again. The scene in front of us is the familiar Xianyang Palace, with the scene frozen on Ing Zheng's running path. He didn't change his mind and chose to throw a dagger. Qin Shi Huang, who was hit, stumbled forward a few steps and then fell to the ground, blood gushing out from his wound. You threw a dagger and accurately hit the heart of the king of Qin, successfully stabbing Qin. You have activated the golden entry. Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer. You invisibly create pressure on people, and anyone affected by this becomes more easily intimidated by you. You have received a relic reward, 1. Mini time hourglass. After use, you can return to the previous option. Consumables, 2. Small life potions. After use, they can cure most diseases. Consumables, 3. Random teleportation scroll. After use, it can move randomly on the map. Consumables, another choice of 3, it seems that the designer of this game should be a heavy roguelike enthusiast. Chapter 5. The Choice of Human Nature. You are listening at novelfull.audio. For gaming enthusiasts like Du Xinghan, he has played the vast majority of roguelike games on the market. This game has 3 characteristics, as follows. 1. Randomly generate rewards and events. 2. The choice is irreversible. 3. Non-linear development. This requires players to consider both the immediate crisis and the intensity of the later stages when formulating strategies. Time reversal sounds very useful, as it can create magical effects during the game process. Life potions are not bad either. For ancient times, where there was a shortage of medicine, they were elixirs. But the only option that Du Xinghan can choose is random teleportation. The first need of civilization is survival. The first need of an individual is also survival. In history, if Jing Ku really succeeded in assassinating Qin, it was almost impossible for him to leave the state of Qin alive. That's why the previous sentence came to mind. The wind is howling, the water is cold, and the brave man is gone and never returns. Assassination of Qin failed and died. The successful assassination of Qin is still death. The only option for Du Xinghan to survive is random teleportation. Although this may sound unscientific, why talk about science when playing games? You turned into a white light and disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. You were transported to the capital of Wei, Daliang. At this time, Wei was defeated by Qi in the east, lost to Qin in the west, and humiliated by Chu in the south, and was on the brink of destruction. 1. Stay in the state of Wei and dominate the central plains. 2. Return to the state of Yan, hide your sight and keep your dark. Du Xinghan looked at the devastated central plains and had no choice but to return to the state of Yan and report to the Crown Prince Dan. In history, the order in which Qin conquered the 6 states was Han, Zhao, Wei, Chu, Yan, and Qi. Yan and Qi were able to survive to the end due to the unique geographical location. One is in Bijie, and the other is in Shandong. They are all places beyond the reach of the strong Qin whip. Du Xinghan grew up in the state of Yan from a young age and did not intend to invest in another country. Another important reason is that although the state of Yan is weak, its homeland has not suffered from war and there is still hope for a resurgence. On your way back to your country, you have been trekking all the way and your rations have been depleted. At this point, a few hungry people are stopping you. 1. Distribute the last bit of food to them. 2. Draw your sword and kill, whoever blocks me will die. 3. Persuade the starving people to leave. Wow, there are also D&D and RPG elements. You can really sew this game. Du Xinghan remembered the games he had played, such as The Witcher, Original Sin in the Divine Realm, and Bode's Gate, which often featured plots that tested human nature. If you are a game novice, you are likely to choose to be the savior and fantasize about triggering hidden tasks, hidden items, and other events. But judging from Du Xinghan's years of gaming experience, if they were given their rations, not only would there be no rewards, but it would actually cause trouble. The reason is simple, because the worldview of this game is not based on history, and any choice made by players must be based on real-life cognition. The Virgin Mary is not so easy to be. Sorry fellow villagers, the landlord's family doesn't have any surplus food either. You have activated the Dragon Slayer skill, Dragon Slayer. You invisibly create pressure on people, and anyone affected by this becomes more easily intimidated by you. Persuasion failed, ah. Du Xinghan was dumbfounded, that's all for the golden entry. Hungry-eyed, starving people flock forward, intending to use violence against you. 1. Throw away the rations and let them loot. 2. Kill chickens as a warning to monkeys and scare away hungry people. My fellow villagers, it's not my fault anymore. Du Xinghan did not have any hesitation this time. You stabbed one of them in the throat with your sword, but the other hungry people were not scared away and looked at the bodies of their deceased companions. You see a thirst for food in their eyes. 1. Join this feast. 2. Turn around and leave. Ouch. Du Xinghan saw the indescribable scene before him and quickly chose to leave. A few days later, your rations were depleted, and on the following journey, you decided. 1. Bark trees, dig grass roots, and endure hunger. 2. Adventure robbing wealthy households. Grab, grab, grab. The wine and meat in Zhumen smell bad, and there are frozen bones on the road. If I don't grab the big shots, who will I eat? You sneaked into a household and found a small amount of supplies. 1. Continue searching. 2. Stop as soon as it's good. Keep going. Du Xinghan estimated in his mind that it would take at least a month to walk from Kaifeng, Hunan to Bijie. And this is ancient times, without navigation, relying solely on direction and asking for directions. If you go wrong, you won't be able to get there for a month. This amount of material is obviously not enough. You searched for a large amount of supplies and were about to climb over the wall to escape when you were discovered by the other party. 1. Kill people and silence. 2. Attempt to persuade. 2. Seize with restraint. You have activated the Dragon Slayer skill negotiation successful, sleeping slot. Du Xinghan suddenly understood that the reason why starving people cannot be convinced is because they have nothing to lose except their lives. I won't snatch you, I'll starve to death. Robbing you, being killed. Both horizontally and vertically, it's better to take a gamble and turn a bicycle into a motorcycle. But for wealthy families, it's different. They can't sacrifice their lives just to save some resources. Is this really a game? The simulation is too realistic, isn't it? You have gained a large amount of supplies, Yu reading www.uukangshu.net, eating and drinking spicy food all the way, moving towards your destination. Half a month later, you finally left the state of Wei and entered the territory of Zhao. After experiencing the Battle of Chongping, the population of the state of Zhao sharply decreased to half of its previous size, and the city was filled with hungry young children. You see several older children grabbing a wild vegetable that a little girl has just dug. 1. Release that girl. 2. Shout out when you see something wrong on the road, then continue walking forward. Where did that little brat come from? I don't want to live anymore, do I? You scared off the snatcher. The little girl invited you to her house for dinner. 1. Accept the invitation. 2. Refuse and continue on the journey. Du Xinghan thought for a moment and chose to accept the invitation. Nowadays, if someone invites you to dinner, it's just a miracle. You come to the little girl's house and find that she is the only one at home. You learn from the conversation that her name is Fang Meiqi, and she is only 13 years old this year. Her father and brother both died on the battlefield, and her mother was also killed by the plague. The wild vegetable soup is cooked, and even the human shadow can be seen in the clear and watery earthen jar. You suddenly remembered that you still had 2 dry cakes and a piece of pickled meat in your arms, so you decided. 1. Throw it into the vegetable soup. 2. Keep it for yourself to eat. Forget it, this little girl is quite pitiful. I reckon she hasn't had a full meal since her family passed away. Eat quickly. You fill a bowl and push it to Fang Meiqi. Fang Meiqi swallowed hard and insisted that you eat first. Big brother, eat first. Big brother, leave the rest for me. Chapter 6. Swordfinger G City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You pointed to your stomach and said you're tired of eating these every day. Fang Meiqi just picked up the bowl and wolfed it down. You have never seen a skinny body that can hold so much food. 1 bowl, 2 bowls, a 3rd bowl. Let her eat enough. 2. Remind her not to eat anymore. Du Xinghan thought of a TV drama he had watched, called Wolf Smoke in Beiping. The beggars inside ate 13 bowls of braised pork, but in the end, they survived to death. Meiqi, stop eating. You covered the jar and explained the reason in detail to her. Fang Meiqi seemed to understand and nodded, saying that everything was up to you. 1. Keep going and say goodbye to her. 2. Propose to stay overnight to restore physical strength. Staying overnight. Forget it, it's illegal. Du Xinghan felt awkward and chose to continue on his journey. You were about to leave and an unexpected group of guests broke in, and it was the child who had a conflict with Fang Meiqi today. The other party is not kind, holding various cold weapons in their hands and demanding food from you. Reward them with leftover food. 2. Encouraging education. This is not right. 3. The bear child just needs repair. Your superb swordsmanship made the bear children scream. Fang Meiqi looked at you with a look of admiration and made a request to you. Take me away from here, brother. If you leave, they will come back again. I can do laundry, cook, and even warm your bed at night. 1. Grit your teeth and agree. 2. Have the heart to refuse. Game designer. Don't let me find you. If this happened in reality, Du Xinghan would be 100% willing to refuse. In this era where human life is like grass, bringing her along would only add to the burden. But this is a game. If a person dies, they can start over, and if civilization is annihilated, they can restart. Du Xinghan hesitated for a long time, but when the progress bar was about to finish, he chose to agree. You took Meiqi up and down the road. Although the road was bumpy, the journey was accompanied by a little girl, and finally it wasn't so lonely. 17 days later, you climbed up a mountain and looked down to see the city walls of the capital of Yen State. Upon hearing the news of your return, Prince Dan personally led civil and military officials to welcome you. You were granted the title of Pingchuan Ho by the King of Yen for your contributions to the Qin Dynasty, and your fiefdom consisted of 3,000 households. Prince Dan tells you that according to the intelligence transmitted through careful work, there has been a great internal turmoil in the state of Qin since your return to China for over a month. The Qin clan and the eunuch group led by Zhao Gao engaged in a thrilling battle to seize the throne. The old clan relied on Liu Xiu and his relatives, adhered to the principle of establishing elders over juveniles, and supported the young Fusu to succeed as the Grand Marshal. Zhao Gao claimed that he had a posthumous edict from the late emperor to appoint Hu Hai, who was only 3 years old, as the young emperor and appoint him as regent. This struggle lasted for several months, giving the 6 countries a chance to rest and recuperate. At the strong suggestion of Liu Xiu, Fusu chose to take the initiative first, luring Zhao Gao to go hunting in Shanglin Yuan and arranging for Meng Tian to lead an ambush to kill him, and the first anger of this new ruler after taking office was directed towards the mastermind who assassinated his father. In 226 BC, Qin General Wang Jian led 100,000 elite soldiers out of Hangu and pointed their swords at the capital of Yen. Jiqing, the king of Yen, summoned you to the capital and discussed with the officials the strategy of retreating from the enemy. At this point, an old minister suggested that Fu Su's move was to avenge his late father. As long as the murderer was handed over, the Qin state would naturally withdraw its troops. 1. Blame this person severely. Since ancient times, no one has died, and if you want to die, you must die first. 3. Agree with this proposal. Your mother's old coffin flesh. Du Xinghan is so angry now that I helped you kill Lingzheng. Do you still have to sacrifice me to the heavens after finishing the task? How Shou Pifu, Kang-bearded old thief. He has never made any achievements in his life, only knows how to shake his lips and drum his tongue. He is a dog with a broken spine and barks loudly. I have never seen such a shameless person before. The old minister of Yen was scolded by you, foaming at the mouth and taking his breath on the spot. Prince Dan stepped forward to stop this farce and asked if you had any good ideas. After some thought, you spoke up. 1. Qi's martial arts should not encounter Wei's soldiers should not encounter Qin's sharp warriors. 2. Please ask the king of Yen to exert all his strength and fight to the death against the state of Qin. 3. I have limited talent and knowledge, and there is no way to retreat from the enemy. In Du Xinghan's opinion, the third option is the most useless. Since someone has already proposed to kill me, it indicates that those who hold such thoughts are definitely not an exception. And the Crown Prince Dan can protect me for a while. Can he protect me for a lifetime? The second option, which may seem the most domineering, is actually the last resort. With the current national strength of Yen, will we fight a tough battle against Wang Jian? It's like hitting a stone with an egg. What kind of person is Wang Jian? He was a fierce general who fought in the south and north for Emperor Qin Shi Huang and made remarkable achievements. Looking at Yan's side again, besides the deceased Lei, is there anyone else who can be called? It can be said that after the death of King Zhao of Yen, the national strength of Yen was like snowflakes during an avalanche, freely falling down uncontrollably, becoming a true tail crane of the warring states. Period. So there's only one option left, the exclusion method. YYDS. Your speech angered General Yen, and Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net questioned why you boosted the morale of others and destroyed your own authority. Prince Dan once again took action and asked you, since the Qin army is invincible, where should Yen go? 1. Compensation for ceding land, bowing down to pay homage. 2. Send envoys to the state of Qi, persuade the king of Qi to send troops to attack Qin. 3. Send envoys to the state of Zhao, persuade the king of Zhao to send troops to attack Qin. For Du Xinghan, this question really exceeds the limit. Because these three options all look like the correct answers. Reparations for ceding land are the most immediate, and exchanging land and population for peace is not uncommon in history. But the consequences of doing so are similar to drinking poison to quench thirst. If an intruder bites into your flesh, they want to take a second or third bite. I wish I could devour you alive in the end. Requesting the state of Qi to send troops is the most reliable. Qi is the only country among the 6 countries with combat effectiveness. During the internal turmoil of the Qin state, the king of Qi sharpened his troops and horses, and also stole a lot of development. But the question is, why did they help me? Without corresponding chips, business cannot be negotiated. Du Xinghan deeply understands this, especially after being beaten by society. The motive for requesting Zhao to send troops is valid. Zhao borders Yan, and the king of Zhao will not fail to understand the principle of losing his lips and teeth. But after the Battle of Chongping, Zhao Guijing suffered a great loss of vitality and a sharp decline in population. In order to organize combat effectiveness, they had to rely on the Boy Scouts to charge forward. My day, why is this game harder than Civilization 6? What are you doing with such hardcore? My buddy is here to play games, not to be played by games. Du Xinghan remembered the fear of being dominated by P society and soul games. Are there really people in this world who play games to be abused? Chapter 7. Hardcore and Fierce People. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Forget it, take a gamble. Point troops and generals, ride horses to fight. Having money to drink, having no money to get lost. You have requested the order of the King of Yen to go on an envoy to the state of Qi. The King of Yen bestowed upon you a national letter and a scepter. You simply packed your bags and set off with the diplomatic corps. The journey was dusty, and by the time we arrived at the capital of Qi, Linzi, it was already the 6th day. After staying at the inn, you planned to take a stroll on the street and inquire about the news. 1. Ask the beggar on the roadside. 2. Ask the girl washing clothes by the river. 3. Ask past customers. Du Xinghan made a brief analysis based on the urination characteristics of this game. The beggar must be a real beggar, and it is impossible to bring out secrets such as the Buddha's palm to you. A girl is also a real girl, the kind of one who doesn't step out of the main gate. But merchants are different. They sell goods in various countries and are definitely knowledgeable. You call a customer, and they see that you dress well, so they start talking to you. The other party claimed to be Korean and went to Qi to sell wooden artifacts, then bought sea salt to earn a price difference. 1. Ask how much money can be earned this time. 2. Inquire about what you have seen on the way. 3. Ask if the other party has a wife. Du Xinghan was too lazy to complain, so he chose 2. The Korean businessman said that on his way here, he saw someone dressed similarly to you, holding a strange bamboo pole with a dog's tail hanging from it. Hush. Du Xinghan took a deep breath. At this time, if there are still people who are sent to the state of Qi, they must be envoys from the state of Qin. Isn't Fusu, this brat, too shady? No, it must be Li Si's old Yin Bai who ordered it. In Du Xinghan's impression, Fusu is an honest person. The reason is simple. After the death of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, Zhao Gao launched the Shekyu coup. In the form of a correction edict, Fu Su and Meng Tian were forced to wipe their necks. In addition, there was one more thing, which was that Fu Su opposed the burning of books and burying Confucian scholars, so he was also punished by Qin Shi Huang. It can be seen from this that this is not a tyrant. But what has been possible in history has often been tyrants. Damn it, are you playing the game of close combat with me? The next day, as promised, you arrived at the main hall of Qi State, and the one who arrived with you at the same time was indeed the envoy of Qin State. The king of Qi ordered someone to set up a large oil pot outside the main hall, and only one of you can survive between the two of you. You engaged in a heated debate with the Qin envoy, facing each other head-on. The opposing argument is: the reason why Qin sent troops to attack Yen was to avenge the assassination of the late king, and it has nothing to do with the state of Qi. I hope that the king of Qi will not interfere in this matter. Your response: 1. The child of Fushu, ambitious and named Revenge, is actually seeking a country. 2. Please throw me into the oil pot, King Qi. 3. Say nothing. Du Xinghan knew that with his eloquence, it was impossible to argue with professionals. Option 1 may seem domineering, but in reality, it is nonsense literature. Our strong condemnation and strong criticism of this matter are meaningful. So he can only gamble. If that's the case, then please ask King Qi to throw me into the oil pot. In this way, the king of Qin's great revenge will be avenged, and the state of Yan will be spared from the flames of war, and the state of Qi will not have to be in a dilemma. For the sake of the world, I am willing to die. You stand with your hands down, every sentence resounding, and invisible pressure erupted from you, causing chaos in the opponent's debaters. The wise man has already realized that your speech may seem righteous, but in reality, it is a hidden motive. If you die, it will lead to the Qin state's unknown army and a dilemma for 100,000 Qin soldiers. You are using your own life to slow down the progress of the great Qin in annihilating the 6 kingdoms. After hearing this, King Qi waved his sleeve and said, "Someone, put the Yan envoy into an oil pot and bury him with national etiquette." Damn it, really? Du Xinghan was dumbfounded. If I am willing to die, will you be willing to bury it? Has Shandong people always been so straightforward since ancient times? Can't you tell that I'm speaking ironically? But the scene that followed completely overturned Du Xinghan's 3 views. Under your coercion, the envoy of Qin knelt in the direction of the state of Qin and resolutely jumped into the oil pot, sleeping slot. Du Xinghan was so shocked that his mouth opened wide and he couldn't speak for a long time. Isn't it a literary exaggeration to describe the process of going up to the top and down to the bottom? Has anyone ever done this in history? But it's this diplomat who didn't even leave his name behind, who used his own death to push the wheel of history forward and crush it. It's too crazy, it's unbelievable. This is probably what appears in Khan's videos. Hardcore ruthless people. No wonder it was the great Qin who ultimately unified the 6 countries. The Qin envoy sacrificed his life for the country, and there is no room for redemption in the war between Qin and Yan. The only thing you can do now is to place hope in the state of Qi. 1. Declare your interests and request King Qi to send troops. 2. Present the map of Qin that you drew last night. 3. Turn around and leave. Did I draw a map? What a strange option. But the stranger it is, the closer it is to the correct answer. You presented the map of Qin, which frightened all 4 and shouted for protection. 1. Misunderstanding. There is no dagger in the picture. 2. Turn around and run away. 3. Seize with your hands tied. I'm afraid it's too late to explain. Any unnecessary actions at this time will bring about a fatal accident. After a brief analysis, Du Xinghan chose to surrender. You cleverly dodged a disaster, and the king of Qi was surprised when he opened the map. According to the description on your map, the 3 Jin and Chu Yan states have been annexed by the Qin state, leaving only the Qi state isolated and blocked at the edge of the map. If the king still intends to observe the fire from across the shore, the state of Qi will be destroyed. The king hesitates and will surely face great calamity. 3. I am not talented, and I am willing to follow the example of Su Qin's lobbying of other countries, reproducing the former prosperous trend of co-governing Qin. Choose the longest one from the shortest 2. You successfully persuaded the king of Qi, and the state of Qi agreed to send troops to attack Qin. You have activated the purple entry. Union vertical and horizontal. Combining vertical and horizontal. Your diplomatic skills have been enhanced, and those affected by this are more likely to adopt your suggestions. You have been awarded the Prime Minister of Qi, and next you plan to 1. Return to the state of Yan and work together to resist Qin. 2. Traveling in all directions, lobbying countries. Countries. Are there any other countries on the map besides Yan and Qi that have not been destroyed? Du Xinghan felt that this option was a trap. He had been to the states of Wei and Zhao before, which can only be described as starving people everywhere. Forget it, let's return to Yan state. Together with Qi Yan, perhaps we can still fight. It was decided like this. Buzz. When Du Xinghan was about to make a choice, the cerebral cortex suddenly felt as if it had been electrocuted. Announcement. Temporary shutdown for maintenance duration of approximately 24 hours. As he opened his eyes, an old tungsten filament lamp swayed back and forth on the ceiling. Protect your mother. Do you consider yourself an LOL? Du Xinghan couldn't figure out what was easy to maintain in a single-player simulator game. But he tried to connect several times, and really couldn't connect. After glancing at the time, it was already midnight, so I flipped over and fell asleep peacefully. Chapter 8. Cognitive Explosions. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. When I woke up, it was already 9 o'clock the next morning. The game still cannot be connected. A bowl of bean curd jelly served with sauce, 2 deep fried dough sticks, 2 tea egg. Sweet and salty. Salty. A total of 12 yuan. After having breakfast, Du Xinghan took subway line 1 and got off at Zuzaba station. After walking 200 meters, a huge square appeared in front of us. Located directly north of the square is a magnificent ancient building. Jianghai Museum. After a day of simulation games, Du Xinghan deeply experienced it. History is not good, and time travel is useless. Anyway, it's not a bad idea to take advantage of the downtime for maintenance now and use it as an opportunity to nurture it. Today is the weekend, and there are quite a few people visiting the museum. I waited in line for half a day before getting a ticket. As soon as he entered the museum, Du Xinghan was deeply attracted. From prehistoric civilization, to Xia, Shang, Zhou, Han, and then to Wei, Jin, Sui, and Tang. The entire museum is divided into more than 10 exhibition halls in the order of civilization development. Du Xinghan was completely immersed in one visit after another. He studied computer programming in college and has nothing to do with humanities. This also led to his lack of historical knowledge, so he appeared inadequate in the game deduction process. So history is so fun. The person who developed the game, Civilization Simulator, is simply a genius. Waiting to visit the entire exhibition hall, it's almost time to close. He sat on the bench in the museum, looking somewhat unsatisfied. Du Xinghan also knows that studying history is not a fat job, and can only be done slowly. Children, the exhibition hall we are visiting now is called the Pre-Qin Pavilion. Can anyone tell the teacher which period Pre-Qin was? Du Xinghan followed the sound and saw a very young girl wearing glasses, leading a group of elementary school students to visit the exhibition hall. Teacher, I know it was portrayed in an animated film. The pre-Qin period was the Qin Dynasty, with Jing Tianming, Gai Nye, and oh by the way, Xiao Siming. Xiao Pang, history is not an animated film. The girl gathered her ponytail and said, Pre-Qin refers to the period from the Old Stone Age to the establishment of the Qin Dynasty. This will be a bit difficult for everyone, even if you can't answer it, it's not a big deal. When you enter junior high school, you will have it in your textbooks. The teacher's second question will reduce some difficulty. Can anyone answer the teacher, who was the founder of the Qin Dynasty? Teacher, I know. Okay, Xiaomei, you can answer. It was Emperor Qin Shi Huang who supported Su. Puff. Du Xinghan sprayed salt soda all over the ground. Even elementary school students can't be so rebellious, can they? Did the physical education teacher teach you? In the eyes of Chinese people, the difficulty level of this problem is almost the same as 1 + 1 =. Xiaomei is so smart. She answered correctly and will be rewarded with a small seal. Puff. Du Xinghan just took a second sip and started the jet mode again. Even elementary school students are fine. As a teacher, you just mislead children like this. His 2 consecutive indecent behaviors caused visitors to cast disdainful glances. The girl was also a bit angry, feeling that Du Xinghan was targeting her. Hey, do you understand politeness? I'm teaching the children here, why do you keep spraying drinks? Du Xinghan wiped the corners of his mouth without showing any weakness and said, you're also called a lecture. I think you're misleading people. You. Why are you like this? Tell me, how did I misunderstand people? Glasses Girl was so angry that she didn't even talk about class and had to theory with Du Xinghan. You just said, who is Qin Shi? Fushu, is there a problem? Glasses paused and said, also known as Fushu. In 215 BC, Fushu unified the 6 states and was known as Qin Shi in history. When she said these words, her expression appeared extremely serious. No, how did you suppress your laughter? Du Xinghan is a bit confused, isn't this girl a fool? Are you taking the plot fabricated in online novels seriously? What exactly do you mean? Glasses Girl looked a bit angry. Then tell me, who is Qin Shi? Xinghan. Du Xinghan blurted out that everyone knows such simple historical knowledge. I'll go, you must be foolish. Glasses helped the frame and said solemnly, Xinghan was killed long before the establishment of the Qin Dynasty. Although after the Qin Dynasty was established, Fu Su posthumously honored Xinghan as Qin Gaozu, it was only a matter of reputation. According to the general understanding in the historical community, Fu Su is Qin Shi, and there is no dispute about this. Then tell me, who killed me? Du Xinghan's anger surged and he slammed his head on the door. You can raise your head so much, so what kind of teacher are you? Isn't it fragrant to go to the construction site to move bricks? Don't tell me it's Jing Ku, otherwise I'll be in a hurry with you. Of course not Jing Ku, Glass's sister said calmly. The person who assassinated Xinghan is called Du Xinghan. As long as you have read the assassin's biography, you will not have such doubts. Ah. Du Xinghan crashed and was completely killed. Teacher, I know Du Xinghan. He is often used in King's Pesticide. That hero is mischievous and his ultimate move is to throw a dagger from a distance, making it easy to crack the skin in seconds. The speech of elementary school students is more like a heavy hammer, fiercely wedged against Du Xinghan's forehead. He instinctively pinched his arm, feeling a piercing pain. It's not a dream, it's not a dream. It's not a fucking dream. I assassinated Xinghan, which led to Fu Su becoming Emperor Qin Shi. Did I modify the historical process? Am I written into the annals of history by Sima Qian? I was also made into a game character by penguins. Hey, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? Seeing Du Xinghan's gaze glazed over, Glass's sister felt as if she had been cast an immobilization spell. Wait. Du Xinghan hugged his Glass's sister's shoulder and said, what year is it now? What happened on February 1st, 2024? It's not a journey, not a dream, not an illusion, and not a parallel world. That game has a problem, there's a huge problem. Why can it appear in my consciousness out of thin air? This is not the future world, the metaverse is still in the stage of harvesting leaks, and it is still far from realization. Why? Why? Why on earth is this? Apart from doubts, there are still doubts. Du Xinghan has never been so shocked since he was young. What's your name? You. You scared me, can you just release your hand first? Du Xinghan finally realized that he was a bit impolite. My name is Han Dong, and I am a sophomore in the Department of History at Shanghai University. Hello, my name is Du Xinghan, and I am a graduate of the 19th cohort from the Department of Computer Science at Shanghai University. Wow, it's actually a senior. Wait, your name is Du Xinghan. You have the same name as a historical figure. After learning about Du Xinghan's identity, Han Dong immediately relaxed his guard and appeared somewhat excited. Are you free? I would like to treat you to a cup of coffee. Du Xinghan is now eager to communicate with people, and Han Dong, who studies history, is the best choice at the moment. Chapter 9. 2.0 version. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Senior, you're a bit too direct, right? Suddenly invited to have coffee, Han Dong appeared a bit shy. Don't misunderstand. Du Xinghan also appeared a bit awkward. You see, my level of history is very poor. I want to ask you a few questions about history. Well, then you can wait for me. Han Dong glanced at his watch and said, I work part-time as a commentator here. The museum has 10 minutes left to close. I'll wait for you at the subway entrance, okay? Okay, I'll go over right after work. Du Xinghan stood at the subway entrance, still feeling bewildered. He ordered a King pesticide from the software store while waiting for someone. When browsing through the list of assassin heroes, there really is the character Du Xinghan inside. The vertical painting is average, but the design is very cool, and there are several derivative skins available. Skill description. Passive, piercing heart. The attack launched by Du Xinghan from behind the enemy will definitely be a critical hit. 1 skill, Gemini form. Du Xinghan can switch between melee and ranged forms. Melee form increases maximum health and dual resistance, while ranged form increases critical hit rate and critical damage. 2 skills, divine and elusive. After accumulating power in place for 2 seconds, Du Xinghan can flash to any position within the range. If interrupted, he will be stunned for 2 seconds and increase damage by 20%. Skill, Cold Blood Pursuit. Du Xinghan throws a dagger that ignores distance, causing a 70% cooldown when killed. Senior, do you also play this game? Han Dong's appearance interrupted Du Xinghan's thoughts. No, I rarely play after graduation. Du Xinghan put away his phone and the two of them entered the subway station, taking the bus all the way to the city center. I casually found a coffee shop in the mall, and when I looked at the price, Du Xinghan felt a bit sore. The cheapest American style also costs 38 yuan per cup. Senior, do you go to such a high-end place when you invite girls? Han Dong is just a college student, working part-time at a museum to earn some extra income. The clothes on my body are all Taobao products, and it looks like someone from an ordinary family. But she is very outstanding in appearance, with a unique intellectual beauty of women, and the style of a female literary youth is also very impressive. Is everything okay? Du Xinghan scratched his head to conceal his embarrassment. I don't come often either. Can I ask you a few questions? Let's talk, but we can't check our household registration. Han Dong revealed 2 cute dimples. Do you know Du Xinghan well? What Du Xinghan is most concerned about now is himself. Or in other words, his historical self. Although this may sound a bit awkward, the fact is that it is. He traveled through time and space, modified the course of history, and thus influenced today more than 2,000 years later. This is very similar to the plot in a movie called Butterfly Effect. The male protagonist in the movie, every time he travels back to his childhood, will have varying degrees of impact on the future. It's okay, my main focus is not on the history of the Qin and Han dynasties. Han Dong smashed the flour on his coffee and said, Du Xinghan is a very complex person, and the evaluation of him in the historical community is mixed. Some people believe that he assassinated Xinghan to save their country, belonging to the kind of righteous person who died as a confidant, while others believe that he assassinated Xinghan, slowing down the process of Qin Dynasty's unification of China and being a criminal in history. Wait. Du Xinghan was surprised when he heard this and said, Did you just say that the Qin Dynasty unified China? That's right. Han Dong was also surprised. Senior, isn't your history so bad? Has the Qin Dynasty been unified? When was it unified? My progress in the game is clearly still uniting to resist Qin. That is to say, my influence on history has remained at that moment. When I disconnected the game, the time in the game did not stop, but continued to simulate forward and then projected into the real world. But is this disconnected me still me? Du Xinghan felt that this matter was so evil that it could not be simply described by the butterfly effect. This is likely to involve more complex categories such as high-latitude space and string theory. But with his current knowledge reserves and cognition, wanting to understand is equivalent to talking nonsense. Forget it, don't think about it so complicated for now. Let's first clarify the problem at hand. So, in the end, the state of Yen was ultimately destroyed. That's right. Han Dong nodded and said, Du Xinghan lobbied the state of Qi back then. He could have delayed the attack of the Qin army, but on the way back to Yen, Qin General Wang Jian was already at the bottom of the city. Yan Wangxi, in order to save his life, executed his son and offered his head to Qin Shi Huang. However, Fu Su still did not give up attacking Yen. In just 3 days, he occupied the entire territory of Yen. The Crown Prince's pill. That's right, Han Dong sighed. Although he successfully planned to assassinate Qin and caused half a year of internal turmoil in the state of Qin, he underestimated the power of Qin's reform. In the face of the war machine, all resistance was in vain. What about Du Xinghan? Han Dong shook his head and said, it's not written in history books. How could it not have been written? History is like this. Han Dong took a sip of coffee and said, but I think he probably felt hopeless about restoring the country and died in regret. Is there no hope of restoring the country? I chose the wrong camp from the beginning. What happened to the Qin Dynasty in the end? UUKeungshu.net was destroyed by Liu Bang. Du Xinghan asked tentatively. Senior, why did you suddenly become smarter? Han Dong was a bit surprised. A person who didn't even know who Qin Shi Huang was actually knew about Liu Bang. The last question is, how many years did the Qin Dynasty last? 27 years. So short. What's so surprising about this? Han Dong smiled and said, after Fu Su ascended to power, he became extremely cruel. Not only did he execute Hu Hai and his accomplices, but he also recruited craftsmen extensively to build palaces and the Great Wall. In the end, he was cut to death by a random knife during the uprising. Okay, this is the story of a young dragon slayer who eventually becomes a dragon. Fu Su, the young master who opposed the burning of books and burying of Confucian scholars by Emperor Qin Shi Huang, won the throne through bloody means and gradually went towards blackening. Thank you, said Du Xinghan. I had a great time chatting with you. Can I add a WeChat account? If I have any questions in the future, I can still contact you. Of course. Han Dong generously scanned the QR code. In her opinion, people with common interests have interconnected magnetic fields. After the two parted ways, Du Xinghan returned to the rental room and connected to the game. Welcome back to Civilization Simulator, announcement. The game version has been updated to 2.0, and the new reputation system and free mode have been launched. Please check carefully. Nyobi, I said I stopped maintenance and dared to update the new version of the ship. Du Xinghan checked his reputation points and surprisingly reached 11,219 points. 10,000 of them were obtained after completing the assassination of Qin. Free mode. You can consume reputation points and enter free mode. In free mode, you can consume 1 reputation point per second. Please use it as appropriate. Activate free mode. Chapter 10. The place where dreams start. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A white light engulfed the scene. When I opened my eyes again, the previously suspended text information disappeared. Is this crossing over? Du Xinghan stood on the riverbank, with a gentle breeze blowing and emerald birds chirping. The girl washing clothes on the shore is talking and laughing, everything is no different from reality. The only thing related to the game is the reputation points in the upper right corner of the screen, which are rapidly decreasing at a visible speed to the naked eye. Du Xinghan dared not consume too much and quickly switched to classic mode after wandering around the city. Reputation points are hard-won and must be used on the blade. At this moment, he is facing two choices. 1. Return to the state of yen. 2. Traveling in all directions. It is impossible to return to the state of yen. According to the intelligence obtained from Han Dong yesterday, Wang Jian occupied the entire territory of Yen in just 3 days. The king of Yen, in order to save his life, spared no effort in cutting off the head of his own son to appease the anger of the king of Qin. Such a king, even dogs don't follow. In such a country, dogs are not guaranteed. You have decided to travel around the world, please choose your starting direction. Go east, go south, go west, go north. Geography questions. I am currently in the land of Qilu. Heading east, I fell into the sea. Heading west, returning to the central plains, in a 4-battle zone, completely beaten. Go north and venture into Kanto. We don't have Zhu Kaishan's ability. Du Xinghan once again used the elimination method and chose to go south. There are many benefits to going south, as you can reach both Wu and Yu, as well as enter the land of Jingchu. In history, this has always been a place where talented people have emerged. You have simply packed your bags and headed south alone. In the following journey, you plan to 1. Drive at full speed to reach your destination. 2. Take a leisurely stroll and increase your knowledge. Du Xinghan didn't think much and chose 2 directly. Along the way, you have met various people and learned about many customs and traditions, which has increased your knowledge and knowledge. 1 month later, when you enter the territory of Chu, please choose the place you want to go. 1. Shouchuan, the capital city. Huayin County. 3. Peixian County. 4. Customization. Consumes reputation points. After thinking for a while, Du Xinghan decided to give up Peixian and go to Huayin first. Peixian was the base of Han Gaozu Lu Bang, and it was here that he established the famous Dream Team in history. But Du Xinghan had his own plan. There was a poor boy from a poor family in Huayin County who was even more eager to receive assistance. 5 days later, you will arrive in Huayin County. This is an extremely ordinary small city, no different from the places you pass by on the road. 1. Strolling around. 2. Find a place to rest. You wandered on the street all day and didn't notice anything. It was already dark, so you had to find an inn to stay. 1. Stay in a luxury lounge. Increase comfort and affect the chance of triggering hidden events. 2. Living in a small shop near the market. Accommodation with average conditions can only meet normal rest. 3. Live on the street. Increase fatigue, you may be attacked and injured. Du Xinghan didn't even think about it and chose 2 directly. The person he is looking for is a poor buddy. Although there is a bonus to staying in a luxurious guest house, it invisibly reduces the probability of finding that person, which is not worth the loss. As for sleeping on the street, it's even more unnecessary. It's easy to make money from this game. If you're short of money, go grab the big shots and persuade them to give up resistance. Du Xinghan didn't know if this was a card bug, but after doing it a few times, he didn't seem to receive any punishment. You slept all night, and the next day when you woke up, you planned to 1. Go to the market for a stroll. 2. Go to a brothel to enjoy life. 3. Go to a tavern to drink. And this feature. On the 3rd day, you slept until noon and your stomach was growling with hunger. After you left, you found a tavern and the bartender warmly welcomed you. You were ready to have a big meal. 1. Complete tonic soup, men's gas station, women's beauty salon. 2. Roasted meat set meal, a paradise for meat enthusiasts. Adults don't make choices, I want everything. Game designer, how do you know? You had a full meal, plan on next. 1. Help me up, I can still fight. 2. Return to the inn to rest. 3. do some serious work and go to the market to inquire about intelligence. Charming and despicable, disrupt my heart. After thinking for a long time, Du Xinghan finally gritted his teeth and chose 3. After all, the name of this game is Civilization Simulator, not XX Simulator. And to enjoy that time, it wasted more than 1,000 reputation points. It's really not worth the loss. You come to the market, and the vendors cries come and go. You choose your target and walk towards them. 1. An old man selling oranges. Women selling silk. A hunter who sells fur. These 3 options seem to have nothing worth analyzing. Du Xinghan chose a hunter based on his feelings. You tried to talk to the hunter, but the other person seemed to have no desire to chat and was very perfunctory towards you. 1. Buy a rabbit skin. 2. Buy a fox skin. 3. Buy a tiger skin. Wait for me here. Brother, you're short of everything, just not lacking money. You spent a lot of money on a tiger skin, and the hunter's attitude immediately changed. He asked who the person you were looking for was. Activate free mode. Do you know Han Xinghan? After Du Xinghan finished speaking, he immediately switched back to the classic mode. Only a second had passed, and his reputation had only decreased slightly. Hunter. It sounds a bit familiar to me. I should know this person from the Tingchang family in Nanchang Pavilion. For Du Xinghan, the value of this clue cannot be bought with 10,000 tiger skins. That's right, the person he's looking for is the famous military immortal Han Xinghan in history. What he needs to do now is to follow Liu Bang's path, leaving him with no way to go. When you arrived at Nanchang Pavilion and knocked on the door, you found that the pavilion chief was not at home. The person who received you was the pavilion chief's wife. You explained your intention to come, but the other party showed extreme displeasure. After a few perfunctory words, they planned to close the door and thank you. Du Xinghan didn't know that Han Xinghan often came to her house to grab a meal, and he would do it for several months. Finally, one morning, the slender wife couldn't bear it anymore. After preparing the meal in advance, the whole family ate it up in bed. After Han Xinghan arrived, he found that there was no food for him. In a fit of anger, he swore never to come again. You were rejected and met with a nose of dust, and the only clue was interrupted. 1. Return to the inn to rest. 2. Walk around nearby. It's still early before it gets dark. Going back to rest is also a waste of time. It's better to try your luck nearby. You walk along the riverbank and see a group of aunties washing silk and cotton by the river. You decide. 1. Pretend to be a merchant and inquire about the price of silk wool. 2. A stranger pretending to be lost. 3. Ask directly.